didn't get anything large and visible stuck to the magnet. Yeah, but the bottom size of the hole was probably half the size it is now at the time.
So just so I'm clear here, we're going to be grabbing the yellow handle, swinging it over the hole, and then to release, we're going to be squeezing the two reds together over this pin, correct?
Take the magnet and move it around in the hole and kind of pick it up and look at the bottom and see if anything's stuck to it. Okay. And you shouldn't have to mess with the release handle until we determine, unless we see something on the magnet.
Roger.
Right now, there's a bunch of fine material stuck to the bottom that did not come off when we actuated the magnet switch there, and that'll just have to stay there.
Heavy one. Thanks, Kim. All right, so any position you want or just shmoo it around?
Just spirit around in there. Try to cover the whole hole.
Roger. Do you want a stamping motion or a smearing motion?
I think it's stamping motion, please.
Okay.
And Mark, for our listeners who are just joining in, can you talk a little bit about the strength of the magnet that you're using?
The strength of the magnet? This is a 750 kilogram lift capacity magnet. And the reason why I'm using this thing, let them do their thing
still
first.
A little part for deactivation right now. Hope not. Yeah, we can turn it on. Al, you want to push on in there a bit on the handles, please? We just want to make sure our safety's not installed. You want to push on in there a bit more there, Al? Yeah. Got a little bit of creep. I think it's gone. Yeah. I think we come to agreement that the safety is not in there. Mark, for you guys that are listening, are the handles are they still together a little bit, or is this as wide as they go?
That's as wide as they go.
Okay, Roger. Sounds good. Go ahead and come on wide there, Bidal, please. That's great. We're just making sure that we're actually giving you a sample and not partially deactivating the stamp magnet thing.
Roger that.
Looks like our crab buddy had to turn his back. He couldn't stand it.
They made him a nice condo, though. Is that enough stamping for you guys, or do you want some more?
I think that'll do it. If there's anything in there, it should be stuck to it by now.
Roger. And you want a visual on the bottom of this before we store it?
Yep. Yes, please.
Sure. Bring it a little bit more in the light here.
That little kind of wavy line fuzz down the middle is fine material that's stuck to the magnet since we got started.
It seems a bit heavy for the wrist. This might be a quick zoom, but seems like hold it as long as I can here. Go ahead on Al if you want to push on in. Might be hard to focus on. Sure. Is that good for you guys there on the beach?
Yes, that's good.
Okay, go ahead and come on wide there, Al. Thanks.
The fine material is, you know, we already know there's a lot of little fine magnetite in this.
Retract on that tool tray is really hot.
Yeah.
I'll follow you in with the brow.
Sorry?
I'll follow you in with the brow cam too.
Okay, great, thank you. Might be a bit of an awkward pick here, actually. I'm gonna reset myself up over here, actually, real quick. Otherwise, it might just be a dangle in my fingers.
It's kind of slid to one end. That might actually help.
Sorry? I think I made it worse for myself, eh? Sorry. Apologies.
You set it down on the porch and re-grab it.
Yeah. Just don't want to get the craft all full of mud.
You know what? While you have it there, would it be? Could you give a try at just patting it on around the crater on the outside? Expand out the range of searching a little bit.
Sure thing. Sorry, I'm trying to get my jaws untangled. So around the outside of the rim, you said?
Yes, please.
Sure thing.
couldn't hurt.
Let's see if you catch it as close to the orange handles as possible, so you come more in the center.
Yeah, the center of the yellow handle. Agreed. Sorry, just cleaning myself off.
Two views.
Yes, please. That'd be great.
Use the brow to get towards the middle.
Sorry?
Use the brow camera view to get towards the middle.
Yeah. Nice. All right.
Mark, are you looking for like outside the perimeter of the hole?
Yeah, just around the rim of the hole there.
All right.
This could very well make a mess.
That's fine, just like that little pad.
Scrab better watch himself, though.
He's just not giving up.
Seriously. He really isn't. This is not really a territory dance here.
Hey guys, Ralph here. How loose is the sediment? Can you actually disturb it to some depth with the meteor, with the magnet?
Yeah, if you want us to try compacting it a bit and pushing in.
In the center?
Yeah, it's good.
I'm just thinking using it like a rake.
Using it like a rake?
Exactly, in the to expand the hole so far and kind of grab anything magnetic in the upper 5 or 10 centimeters.
Okay, so on the outside of the hole.
Yeah, if Mark's okay with that.
Yeah, absolutely, go for it. That's
Okay.
a good idea. Use it as a scraping tool.
Sure thing.
It's just a question of how well you can hang on to it if you hit anything resistant.
Sure, we can try scraping. Cool. Something like this type of motion going on?
Is it like possible to do a push motion to get it like away from?
I see. Instead of burying the hole, pushing it out this way. Is what you had in mind there, Mark?
Works for me.
Sure thing.
Yep.
So soft and squishy, eh?
Mark, are we responsible for the paint job on the magnet?
Well, that's a good question. I don't think so. No, it gets refurbished in between uses.
It's too much
Mark,
berry.
just so you know, I'm going to log off in about 3 minutes so Linda can come on and we don't screw up the bandwidth.
Okay. Any other wisdom you'd like to impart upon us?
Just that I really dig this.
Good one.
Nice.
Kind of feel like I'm playing with a toy car in the middle of some subsea mud.
Yeah, don't complain.
This is great. No.
I'm waiting for the arm driver to say vroom, vroom.
Could we get a look at the underside of it?
Sure thing. All right, that's better.
It'd be nice if that handle wasn't round, like a square bar or a flat bar section would be so much easier to manipulate.
Right.
Is that mud stuck to it, or is there some larger pieces on there?
Stand by one. It's kind of heavy for the wrist. All right, I'll go ahead and zoom one in there. Come back up to you.
That looks like that was mud. Well, there are some fragments. Well, stuck
Looks like
in the.
So, Mark,
Tiny.
I guess I do have some parting wisdom. You know, you've got to decide on the trade-off between covering more horizontal area to a shallow depth or digging deeper in a much smaller horizontal area.
Go ahead and come on wide there, Al.
I think deeper is the way to go. We started that pit was the center of that pit was the center of the old excavation trench from 2018, which should have been in the center of the impact pit. I wanted to look around the edges there on the off chance that there was some larger piece that had maybe just in case we weren't dead center, and also in case any larger piece, larger being a centimeter-ish, followed the thing down into the water and was buried only a little bit below the surface. But I think deeper is the way to go. Would it be possible to use that magnet as an excavation tool? Or is it better to use the suction drawn device?
I'm muted. We just rotate it right in the bottom of the hole and just like auger in.
Yeah, that's a cool idea, yeah. So you guys want to use
or
this
push
as an
real hard
tool?
against the sides of the pit.
Sorry, I didn't catch that.
You can auger it like you suggested, but you could also push against the sides of the pit, maybe widen it at depth.
Roger.
Yeesh. Hold still.
I'll push against the sides and auger in. I like it. It's gonna get real messy.
I sure hope you got that insurance on the magnet, Mark. Okay, guys, I'm going to sign off. Mark, just text me if you need me.
Okay. Thanks, Ralph.
Thanks, Ralph.
Thank you.
Nope. It was fun. Thank you, guys.
Push myself off here a bit. It's just soup down there. Yeah.
I think that's what they call unconsolidated sediment. I was trying to think how to describe the consistency of it, and I couldn't come up with anything. It's like, I'm thinking it's because it only occurs in a fluid medium. You get this. It's almost it's just barely not in suspension.
Yeah.
Very topmost layer, the best description I heard. I don't remember who told me this now, but it's like the stuff that settles to the bottom of a glass of orange juice if it was sitting up.
I like the augering idea.
Do you feel like we're getting deeper into the hole, or just moving stuff around in it?
I feel like we're moving stuff around more or less. I mean, we can get deeper, but we're not actually pushing the material out. That makes sense.
Okay.
So
And maybe go back to. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, you can see we're kind of submerging it about this far in depth, and then swirling it around a little bit. but I don't think we're really pushing the material out. Did you want us to go back to dredging?
Yes, please.
Okay. Would you like me to stow the magnet and try getting the stuff off the magnet?
Yes, please.
Okay. I'll give you one more visual of the bottom and then we can stow it. All right, Al. See if we can get a shot of this before. All right. There's more stuff on it.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Looks a bit thicker, is it?
It does.
You want to come a little wide, Al, actually. I'll try to get you a better shot.
That thing's heavy enough that the wrist motor doesn't have quite enough jam to hold it.
Yeah. All right, try that one out.
I don't know what that shiny bit is there.
Okay, that'll do. Can you try to actuate the magnet and save that sample?
Sure thing. Go ahead and come on wide there, Al. I'm just going to reset it a bit, if that's all right with you guys.
So you're going to put that back in the box?
Yeah.
All right. You want the pen and tilt in and the tray out.
Reg.
It's in the brow as well.
Sorry?
It's in the brow as well.
Thank you. All right. Go ahead. Get off back here. Thanks, Tim.
Sweet.
So last time when they actuated this, they found that the you can't do it with the like the fingertips of the grip. It has to be way up near the top of the
Jaw. Right close to
jaw. Yeah.
the fulcrum of the jaw.
Yes.
Like
Clicking down pretty hard on
stuff it right down in the...
Roger. Okay.
glance at the brow cam for reference, but it's backwards right now, so don't spend too long looking at it and make it crazy. Are you zoomed all the way wide now? Thank you.
I want to get up in that bar though.
Maybe you want the shoulder, like the azimuth, a little more to port, so you're coming down more on top of
shoulder
it.
of it. I see. Gotcha. Can't tell if it's squeezing or not.
How do you know how much is enough?
Yeah. Looks like that one squeezed in a little bit there. Maybe that's just my eyes.
Now you can see when it opens again.
Sorry?
Of course, in the brow camera, it's right behind the guard. Oh, let me get a little bit of a look at it. Doesn't seem to be doing it.
Is there was there a special sweet spot that you guys? So it was in the base of the manip, but was there a special sweet spot? Was it in the middle? Does anyone know?
It was toward the middle of the, yeah, about there, actually.
That looks like a better angle on it.
Ooh. Maybe. It's like we got a little bit of give. I don't know if that's enough.
Yeah, it looks like it moved.
Sorry.
Is it possible to get more vertical on it?
Yeah. Let's try that here. Got any movement and bubble there?
You did get it to move a little bit. I think that might have to do. Keep working on it.
Or I can keep going at it for a while.
Can you pitch down just a little more? Yeah, and azimuth. I think that's the best, your best shot right there.
Oops.
I'm full of advice. I don't want to try it.
Sorry?
I'm full of advice. Not sure I want to try it myself. You're pretty much right down on it, right?
I feel like I'm pretty down on it.
Yeah.
Looks like it's moving a little.
Yeah, it did definitely move. I don't know how much is, like I said, how much is enough.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. If you were trying to say something from shore there, Mark. Can't really.
Oh no, I said there. It did move. It did move.
Is that enough to deactivate it?
Honestly, I don't know, but I think it'll do.
Okay. You want us to go back to dredging it?
Yes, please.
I'm sorry I didn't catch the last.
Yes, please.
Oh, there we go. That looks good. Yeah, go ahead and return to dredging, please. I think that's as good as it's going to be.
Roger that.
And we're both operating the tool tray. That's precious.
Sorry.
No worries. I moved the camera so you can mark that.
Yeah, I'll switch it off with you. You want it?
All right, so I'll explain the magnet here a little bit. So when we visited the site before, we had a very simple set of magnets. It was a bunch of round rare earth magnets bolted to a little plastic device, and the idea was we were just going to pat this into the sediment and try to pick up meteorites. And problem was, first time we put it in the sediment, picked it up and looked at it, and it was black from little bits of magnetite that are naturally present in the sediment. So the magnets fouled as soon as we used it. So the reason why we're using this large magnet is twofold. One, because we're trying to get some large object that's down in this pit, and hopefully it's down there and we can retrieve it with this heavy lift magnet. Second reason is that actuating it like we were just doing it with the arm retracts the magnet from the face of the box that it's sitting in, and it should release anything that it's stuck to. So that should release some, if not all, of the natural fine-grained magnetite stuff from the surface to keep the magnet from getting fouled. So that was all about.
Good morning, Mark and the 4 to 8 watch. This is Samantha Wishnak calling in from shore.
Howdy, Samantha.
Good morning. Sounds like things are going really well.
They are proceeding apace. Yes, I haven't come up with the bowling ball-sized or grand piano-sized meteorite that I was hoping to have spring out of the ground and stick to the magnet yet, but still working on it.
Noted. Well, do you all have a few minutes for some questions? We've got questions coming in from our audience, and I've got a little time to answer them. So folks are watching,
Sure.
You can write in at the underneath the video here on nautiluslive.org, and I'll relay them in between operational conversation.
Sounds good.
So the first question is, everyone's wondering, where are we and why are we at this particular site looking for meteorites?
Okay. We are, excuse me just a second. Sorry, I had to cough. That's especially rude now in COVID times. We are in the Olympic Coast National Marine Sanctuary, which is off the coast, the west coast of the state of Washington State in the U.S. This particular spot is the site of a meteorite fall in 2018.
Tilt up a bit.
Sure thing.
There was a sizable meteorite fall here that was observed by people as far away as Seattle. It was observed on seismometers across the state, and even a few down on the seafloor itself. It was observed by weather radars, which detected the falling meteorites falling at this spot, and it was observed by and on a weather buoy of all things, moored not far from where this landed. So this site, this particular spot on the ocean, it has a little bit of history to it. This is the third dive to try to collect meteorites. The first dive was by the Nautilus, only a few months after.
Not sure about the grip on that.
I noticed that the hockey pucks are kind of going about. We might need to tighten down the hose clamp when it comes aboard.
Carry on, Mark.
Okay, so this is the third dive in the meteorite fall site. First one was by the Nautilus a few months after the event, and it was 8 hours of ROV time, just like right now. And that was a long transect, just basically drawing a straight line and kind of zigzagging across it, but drawing a straight line down the length of the meteorite fall and trying to spot anything on the bottom. Once we got down here, you see exactly what we see here. The sediment is really muddy and murky, and anything that fell down here just immediately must have disappeared into the mud. But what we did find was at this spot a circular pit 60, 80 centimeters across that at the time, we weren't sure if it was a meteorite falling here or some kind of animal burrow or whatnot, and collected a little slurp of sediment out of the middle of the pit. Over the course of the next year and a half, I carefully sifted through all the sediment samples collected in that transect and found total of about 150 little tiny pieces of melted meteorite material, small, like much. Biggest one was about 1 millimeter inside, and about 70% of them came from this little pit that we weren't sure if it was an impact pit or not. So the evidence is there that it appears that yes, a meteorite, sizable meteorite, landed in the spot on the seafloor and is buried down in the sediment. A year or so later, the RV Falcor visited the strewn field as well, and spent time with their ROV digging through or not digging through, but collecting another set of samples and looking for further kind of downrange at where some of the larger meteorites must have landed. Collected some more sediment samples and found additional little pieces of meteorite. This trip is specifically to try to get something out of this pit down on the seafloor. As you can see, the dredge has been set up on the ROV specifically to try to move material, to dig down into the seafloor and get at hopefully the meteorite that's sitting down there. There is a mesh built by Nautilus over the exhaust end of the little suction dredge you see here that has rare earth magnets in it, with the intent to try to grab any additional little pieces of meteorite coming out of this pit, any of the smaller stuff. And then the larger meteorite, the larger magnet is there to try, the heavy lift magnet is to try to pick up the object, any large meteorite or meteorites out of the pit. So that's the long and short of why we are here. We'll have a few more hours to try this, and what we're doing at this point is trying to dig down as deep as we can into the center of this pit and try again with the magnet and try to lift out the any meteorites down there. So wish us luck.
Fantastic. We've got a lot of folks who are tuning in and who have been tuning in over the course of this dive. And if you're just starting to watch now, you can replay up to 12 hours on our YouTube channel, or just right here on Nautilus Live. You just scrub back up to 12 hours, and then within a day or two, we'll have all these this entire dive up on our YouTube channel as well, so you can watch the dive in its entirety if you want to go back and relive the meteorite dredging action. Mark, a question for you that came in is, how big does a meteorite need to be to survive impact? And is it possible that there might not be a large fragment to be found?
To survive impact, in general, it can be the size of a grain of sand. The Earth receives 30 to 40,000 tons of material falling on it every year, and a good 30,000 tons of that is very, very fine material. It's sand grain down to dust-sized material. That makes up actually most of the material falling on Earth, obviously, 30,000 tons. So that's kind of the generic answer. In the case of a large meteorite fall like this, what happens is you have a meteoroid, a object in space, impacts the top of Earth's atmosphere, moving at least 11.5 kilometers per second, upwards of pushing 30 kilometers per second. Other objects can strike the Earth's atmosphere moving faster than that, but the highest speed anything's ever been recorded and survived to reach the ground was about 29 kilometers per second. And that was in a meteorite fall in California, called Sutter's Mill. So the size of a meteorite that survived is, I can't give you an easy cut and dried answer. When you get a meteorite fall like this, or like any of the other ones that have happened in even the last couple of decades in the U.S., like Battle Mountain, Nevada, there was one recently at the western end of Cuba. There was another one in Costa Rica within the last year. We've had them in, there's one in the outside of the town of West Texas. It's not West Texas, it's West, town of West, and a few others. When that happens, you basically have this large body hit the atmosphere, and then it comes apart into many smaller pieces. Your typical meteorite fall will have like 90% of that original rock completely destroyed in the course of burning up through the atmosphere, and the remaining pieces will be a small number of large-ish pieces and a large number of small pieces. So you can have stuff like what I was finding in the sediment from from this site. Little things smaller than a millimeter, all the way up to, actually there was a fall in Brazil only a few weeks ago, and one of the meteorites recovered from that was 40 kilograms. And this thing was, I mean, it was, people would wrap their arms around this meteorite. So it's not an easy answer. There's basically a range of sizes for every meteorite fall. The size of the original body determines how many meteorites and of what size survive. For this event, it was a good-sized object. Good size, there's one estimate, good size meaning, there's one estimate from infrasound data saying that this was a 0.6 of a meter across, which amounts to, depends on the type of meteorite, but thousands of pounds of meteorite. The individual surviving pieces, at this little spot, it looked like something large enough to make a 60, 80 centimeter crater in the seafloor. As to whether or not there might not be a meteorite here, yeah, it's possible. It could be a. So the evidence that there's a meteorite here is that impact, that little circular impact, or a little circular pit in the seafloor, which, like I said, we thought at the time could be from something landing in the mud, could be an animal burrow, could be something that was dropped off a ship and landed in there. But the evidence that makes us come back here and look is that the sediment pulled out of that little pit had a very high proportion of little tiny melted meteorite pieces. That could be a coincidence. I don't know. We will find out. We'll find out hopefully here soon.
I feel like that's the cue for the dramatic music. Stay tuned. So, okay, good to know that we were looking for a bowling ball size or piano sized meteorite, but we could find anything. Awesome. Well, we've got another question. Too much for the piano? Okay, we'll stick with bowling ball. We've got a question coming in for the ROV team, wondering if Kim and Jess have a minute to answer a question.
Yeah, sure thing.
Awesome. So what kind of prep was needed to get ROV Hercules ready for this rather unusual search?
Oh yeah, sure. So we outfitted Herc with, well, we have it right now, as you can see, with the dredge, and we made some modifications, such as to the exhaust. There's now a lovely wire mesh over it with some rare earth magnets on it, so hopefully that can pick up any interesting meteorite particulates in the exhaust. And then we also have a large magnet that's kind of a rectangularly sized big hunkin' magnet that we've also outfitted, and we put it into the toolbox there. You'll see us operate it momentarily. So those two are specifically unique for this dive on searching for meteorites. Does that answer the question?
Awesome. And was there any? Yeah, I think so. Was there any calibration of the quote-unquote slurp or the suction hose, or is it being used kind of in a similar way to other cruises?
Yep. So there's calibration. I'm not terribly certain what they intend by that, but yeah, it's pretty much similar to previous cruises in that we're, sucking up sediment and trying to pick up anything in the magnet in the back.
Awesome. Yeah, it's a little different than other dives, I guess, in the sense that you're not collecting things in the slurp jars, right?
Oh yeah, no, sorry, no. We'd be taking on so much sediment.
That'd be a lot.
Crazy. We would just be sinking. We would be an anchor by that point. Sorry,
Not
yeah,
ideal.
all this goes
Okay.
to the exhaust. So it goes out the back and builds a little sandcastle behind us.
Gotcha. Thanks. Little sandcastle. Very cool. So if you're watching on nautiluslive.org, below the video, there's a little bar that you can write in questions. So please do submit your questions to our team in the control van, and I'll do my best to get to them in the next 45 minutes or so. Mark, another question for you. Folks are looking at your profile on the website. Again, if you're watching on Nautilus Live, you can scroll down and see all the folks who are currently on watch and learn more about their backgrounds and research and why they're on board. So Mark, folks are wondering, how does one become a NASA cosmic dust curator?
That's a good question. Well, you have to be especially proficient at gathering dust. There's only one, so it's kind of hard to say. I can tell you how. Well, I'll give you some background. So I'm a material scientist. I got my PhD in material science. I kind of translated that into research in astromaterials, which is meteorites, return samples from other planets and asteroids and such, cosmic dust, other basically materials from outer space. And I've been working at that for a better part of 20 years now. A lot of the people I work in curation. Curation takes care of NASA curation, and we take care of NASA's sample collections, which includes the Apollo moon rocks and samples returned by other missions. The curators are research scientists who are part of a small subpopulation of humanity who is fascinated with taking care of a collection. It's kind of like, I guess, something like museum curators. We take care of these collections and you know.
As well.
Sorry. Oh,
sorry. Just ops talk. Sorry, I'll go off SPL.
okay. No, you're fine. Yeah, so basically, we're your research scientists who have a fondness for taking care of these collections. We receive, we are put in charge of a collection. We take care of it for a length of time. We try to improve it during that time. We make sure it's available for research and outreach, and try to, tell people about, how interesting and cool these collections are, and then we pass it on to somebody else further down the line. And it is basically our research scientist who takes care of this thing and becomes part of the history of a collection. I guess that's the best way to put it. Yeah. Does that answer your question?
I think so. We'll see if yours writing with more. I'm sure you just opened a lot of doors. Another question that's coming in is actually related to the tools conversation that we had earlier. Were there any modified tools that you wanted to use but were not feasible due to cost or practicality? Would a metal detector not work?
Interesting question. So we had that discussion at length. It would be helpful to be able to survey, a large area of seafloor and look for buried metallic objects. But that would also take a lot of time, and we have 8 hours to work with. So we had to make the decision: do you come up with that hardware and try to search for buried things and use up a lot of your time, or do we come to this pit where we had, pretty good, reasonable expectation we were going to find something, or at least seems like it, and concentrate our efforts there? And we kind of we had a group discussion and came to the conclusion that yes, we could use other tools in search, but our time would be best served trying to dig into the pit and see what's down in there. You can see going on right now, the digging